the way we do it.
Good evening and welcome to the October 20th Northampton County Council meeting. I've asked Mr. Myers to lead us in the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic to which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Zembo, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brown? Mr. Kuzic?
Present.
Mr. Giovanni?
Here.
Mr. Gofredo?
Here.
Mr. Heckman?
Here.
Mr. Lott?
Here.
Mr. Myers?
Here.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Here.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Here.
All present except Mr. Brown.
Thank you. Next, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of October 6th, 2022 and
Motion.
October 5th, 2022 budget hearing.
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposition or amendments? Motion passes. Courtesy of the floor, I have two people signed in. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to courtesy of the floor? You can wait till afterwards. Everyone that has requested to speak can have minimum 5 minutes. And the first person, if you'd come to the microphone, speak in the microphone and state your address, is Mary Ann Morales. And you don't, just your township, you don't need to give us your actual home address.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can pull
I
it
can
down.
pull it. Is that better?
Sure is.
Good evening. I'm Mary Ann Morales, and I live in Hanover Township by Wegmans, Northampton County. It's my first meeting. I'm a little nervous. I'm here because I understand that an email was sent to the board, and I don't know if you received it. It was sent on September 28th regarding voter roll maintenance. Audit the Vote did an audit in the state of Pennsylvania, and they discovered over 242,000 registrations statewide who no longer live in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And of that, they dissected the counties. And this is why I'm here as a concerned citizen. They identified 6,909 electors in Northampton County who have moved out of state. And I'm just wondering if you received that email, or are we doing anything about that? I actually took the liberty of emailing Amy in the Board of Elections to say, hey, did you guys do anything about this? And they told me that I had to file a FOIA with the county, which I did do, but I did it on Friday night, and I know they have 5 days. Today's Thursday. It's only day 4. So I'm just curious as to what's going on. That's why I came tonight. Thank you. Are you
Thank
guys?
you. We don't usually answer. We just give this to you as a courtesy to speak, so we will follow up on your request and we will ask questions of the appropriate parties.
Okay, so how would I find out if action's being taken? I'm just,
That would be through the Amy and her office. They would be in charge. But when Mr. McClure gives his report, we can ask him. But we're not going to do that at this time.
thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next, we have Armando Morris Chapaquelin.
Good evening. Armando Moritz Pelican, Wilson Borough. Wanted to just speak very briefly because, as you all know, the last time I was here was in regards to the Dixie Cup LERTA. It's been, I think, almost 2 months now, and I also sent an email to you all informing you after that vote that I was going to be circulating a community survey to essentially crowdsource community vision for what people want to actually see done with the site. And I'm pleased to report, even though I was sick for the last month or so since my 2-year-old started daycare, we've actually just passed over 100 survey responses, and so I'm still going to be collecting surveys and still getting the word out to folks, but wanted to inform you all because I did want to do a presentation of preliminary findings based off of the responses that we've gotten so far. So just wanted to let you know that that was still happening, and just look forward to reaching out and further connecting with you all, because even though the LERTA has been voted down here at this body, I still am very much invested in making sure that whatever comes out of that site is in the best interest of the community. So look forward to keeping the conversation going. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak to courtesy of the floor? Okay, thank you. With that, we have the county executive report. Mr. McClure, do you have a report?
I do. On September 19th, 2022, I received the following memo from the sheriff, Sheriff Johnston. Subject, commendable acts, September 14th, 2022. On Wednesday, September 14th, 2022, Northampton County Deputy Sheriffs Jonathan Garcia and Edward Repnick, along with Colonial Police Officers Jeffrey Wasselis and Stephen Voss, collectively and heroically resuscitated an unconscious individual who had crashed his vehicle into a wall in Hanover Township. Details are as follows. On Wednesday, September 14th, 2020, at approximately 16:10 hours, Deputies Garcia and Repnick were alerted by radio transmission of an automobile accident with an unresponsive operator inside of the vehicle. Upon arrival, the deputies observed the vehicle was still running and the operator was slumped over the driver's seat. Deputy Repnick radioed for emergency medical services to respond. The deputies cautiously approached the vehicle. The operator was unresponsive, not breathing, and had cyanotic lips. Deputy Repnick turned the vehicle off, and Deputy Garcia administered sternum rubs on the operator with no response. Deputy Repnick checked for and detected a faint pulse. The deputies extricated the officer from the vehicle and placed him on the macadam. Deputy Repnick retrieved the oxygen from the department vehicle, while Deputy Garcia administered a dose of Narcan to the operator. The operator did not respond to the Narcan. Deputy Repnick began administering oxygen to the operator. After 5 minutes of oxygen treatment, the operator's lips began to regain their color. Deputy Repnick administered a second dose of Narcan to the operator. The operator did not regain consciousness, but his pulse strengthened. The deputies continued the oxygen treatment. Colonial Regional Police Officers Wasselis and Voss then arrived on the scene. Officer Voss administered a third dose of Narcan to the operator, and the operator regained consciousness. The deputies and officers lifted the operator onto the waiting stretcher and into the ambulance. The operator was transported to the Lehigh Valley Health Network Muhlenberg Hospital. The deputies and officers' quick, calm, and decisive actions resulted in a positive, life-saving event. Their combined efforts saved the life of an 18-year-old county resident. They applied their training, experience, and professionalism and are deserving of the departmental recognition of a letter of commendation. So if the deputies will come up. I'd just like to note before I present them with their proclamations, our department, our sheriff's department, on a daily basis, lieutenants, sergeants, deputies, do dozens of things that we may consider routine around here, but help to ease the process of people's interactions with their county government. On a daily basis, they do this. And sometimes they're called on to save the life of an 18-year-old. And we are in great admiration of what they did for this young person, and because of that, I would like to do the following. Now, therefore, I, Lamont G. McClure, Northampton County Executive, on behalf of the citizens of the county, honor and recognize Deputy Sheriffs Jonathan Garcia and Edward Repnick for their quick, calm, and decisive actions. Their combined efforts saved the life of an 18-year-old county resident. Northampton County, Pennsylvania, October 20th, 2022. Congratulations and thank you. Congratulations. Sheriff, do you wish to say anything? Okay. That concludes my report.
Any questions for Mr. McClure?
out of respect to the resident, I'll ask you, were you aware of this? I've been, in the last month, I've had some personal issues, so I haven't been able to pay much attention to a lot.
No, I was not aware of the right to know request.
Oh, okay. And you don't know anything about this 6,900?
I don't, and I don't want to get ahead of the response to the right to know request.
Fair enough. I just thought it would be fair to do that.
So could I rephrase the question to be more general and not specific? Obviously, does our elections department review and update the rolls on a regular basis?
Yes, pursuant to state law, actually Pennsylvania has one of the more aggressive review processes for their voter rolls. Some people think it's too aggressive.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah, I had something. I just wanted to follow up. Certainly, the deputies, that was heroic. But my question is, what comes next? Was this individual put into a treatment program? What does the future hold for someone after they're through an incident like that?
So if Narcan was effective at reviving him eventually, it was, and I'm speculating now, so let's talk generally, we won't talk specifically about that young person. If it's an opioid addiction, it sometimes takes 7 trips to rehabilitation to overcome an opioid addiction. So the future is what that individual will make of it on their own. But as you know, we are spending millions and are about to spend millions more on opioid addiction and treatment in
That's
Northampton
why I'm
County.
asking.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Okay, thanks.
Moving into the agenda, I don't see any old business listed. Is there any old business to discuss by council members? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move into new business. First, we have the introduction of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the County Council of Northampton County Authorizing the Purchase of 3506 Kesslerville Road and 3808 Kesslerville Road, Forks Township, Pennsylvania, from Thomas Dietzler and Antoinette Dietzler." Could I have someone please sponsor this ordinance?
I will. I'll second.
Tara, and then who's the second?
Carrie?
Oh, I thought I heard her first. Go ahead.
I deferred to go second. I'm fine.
Okay. Public hearing, debate, and possible vote will be November 3rd, 2022 meeting. Consideration of the county executive's appointments and reappointments resolution, the Children and Youth and Families Advisory Board, Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board, Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, and the Workforce Board, Lehigh Valley. Mr. Heckman, will you introduce the resolution?
Certainly. All right. Resolved by the Northampton County Council that the following individuals shall be confirmed in their appointments, reappointments as indicated hereafter. Children, Youth, and Families Advisory Board, excuse me, appointment Tina Marie Nakata, Northampton, PA, term to expire 5/1/24. C. David Howell, Easton, PA, term to expire 5/1/24. Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board, appointment Diane S. Rudolph, Bethlehem, PA, term to expire 6/30/24. Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, reappointments, elected officials. Jessica Cope, North Catasauqua, term to expire 12/31/23. John Gallagher, Bethlehem, PA, term to expire 12/31/23. Appointment to the Planning Commission, Citizen Representative Armando Moritz Shalaquin. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad, did I? Thank you. Okay. Term to expire 12/31/26. Reappointments, Citizen Representatives Charles Elliott, Easton, PA, John McCory, Bethlehem, PA, and Stephen Melnick, Bethlehem, PA, all terms to expire 12/31/26. Workforce Board of the Lehigh Valley, appointment, Institutions of Higher Education, Karen Gloss, Bethlehem, PA, term to expire 6/30/26. And that's so moved.
Thank you. Is there any discussion regarding any of these appointments? We reviewed these at personnel yesterday, but are there any other questions? Mr. Moritz Chappaqua is here. Is anyone else here that wants to be recognized that was named? If not, call for the vote.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the consideration of a local share agreement grant fund application for construction of a Mincy Lake Spillway pedestrian bridge resolution. Ms. Zirinsky, will you please introduce?
Now therefore be it resolved that the County of Northampton hereby approves submitting a request for a Monroe County LSA program grant in the amount of $345,000 from CFA to be used for the construction of the Mincy Lake Spillway pedestrian bridge, an ADA accessible pedestrian bridge crossing over the spillway of Mincy Lake, which will link both sides of the trail to either side of the spillway and complete the 2.5 million circuit trail around opposite sides of Mincy Lake, Upper Mount Bethel Township. The Mincy Lake Spillway pedestrian bridge will connect lakeside recreation areas, picnic groves, fishing docks, boat ramps, parking lots, and comfort stations on opposite sides of Mincy Lake for the first time in the lake's 52-year history. Be it further resolved that the Council of Northampton County does hereby designate the county executive to execute all documents and agreements between the County of Northampton and CFA to facilitate and assist in obtaining the requested grant. I believe we talked about this at the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee.
Thank you. And is there any further discussion on this matter? Call for the vote.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the consideration of a Department of Conservation and Natural Resources grant for Mincy Lake County Park East Shore Development Resolution. Ms. Zirinsky, please introduce.
Now therefore, it is hereby resolved by the Northampton County Council. 1, the Northampton County Council hereby approves the Mincy Lake County Park East Shore Development Grant application to the department. Further, the Northampton County Executive, through the Office of the Program Administrator of the Northampton County Livable Landscapes Program or his or her designee, is directed to take any and all steps necessary to administer and complete Northampton County's obligations in this project. 2, further, the Northampton County Executive, through the Office of the Northampton County Division of Parks and Recreation, or his or her designee, is directed to take any and all steps necessary to administer and complete Northampton County's obligations in this project. The signature page for grant application and grant agreement may be signed on behalf of the applicant by the official who, at the time of the signing, has the title of County Executive. If this official signed the signature page for the grant application and the grant agreement prior to the passage of this resolution, this grant of authority applies retroactively to the date of signing. 5, if the applicant is awarded a grant, the signature page for grant application and grant agreement signed by the above official will become the applicant grantee's executed signature page for the grant agreement, and the applicant/grantee will be bound by the grant agreement. 6, any amendment to the grant agreement may be signed on behalf of the grantee by the official who, at the time of signing of the amendment, has the title specified in paragraph 3, and the grantee will be bound by the amendment. Thank you. This also was discussed at the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Call for the vote.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot. Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the consideration of a livable landscape grant application for Louise Moore Park turf application. This item is being pulled from the agenda at this time. Next, we have the consideration of an Administrative Code Article 13 contract resolutions. Johnson Controls, Louise Park, Moore Park, Colonial Bathroom Replacement, Motorola Solutions Incorporated, Slate Belt Plumbing, Heating and Electric, and Vision Technologies. Mr. Cusick, will you please introduce Johnson Controls?
Now, therefore, be it resolved by the County of Northampton that the recommended grants in Exhibit A are approved. Two, that the county executive, the County of Northampton, is authorized to execute any and all necessary grant agreements with the applicants not to exceed the amount approved for each grant. And it's Johnson Controls for $102,000.
Thank you. We discussed this at Finance Committee yesterday. Is there any further discussion? Call for the vote?
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Will you also introduce the Louise Park, Moore Park one? Mr. Cusick?
Okay, now therefore be it resolved that the Northampton County Council does hereby concur with the recommendation of the county executive as set forth in the attached documentation to approve a contract for the project named above. And this award is for, let's see. No, this isn't the one for the park.
This is Wind Gap Electric
It's Wind Gap Electric.
that you're asking.
Colonial Bathrooms. Wilmer or Schwartz, general contractor.
Contract for the Colonial bathroom replacements. This is for an amount of $261,040. An electrical contract with Wind Gap Electric for $46,700. General construction with Wilmer Schultz in the amount of $152,900. And the plumbing construction contract for the Warco Group in the amount of $61,440.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Yes, Mr. Gufredo?
Yeah, we discussed yesterday that, all these bids, the electrical, the plumbing, and the general contractor all only received one bid each. And although it is a relatively small amount of money, considering the scope of some other projects, it really is hard to say that we're doing our due diligence by just saying yes to this, because there's really no frame of reference of, are these prices in line? Because we have nothing to compare them to. So I won't be supporting this just because of the fact that we have no other comparison point.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Kuzic.
No.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
No.
Mr. Giovanni.
No.
Mr. Gofredo.
No.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Passes by a vote of 5-4.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, will you introduce Motorola Solutions, please?
Whereas Northampton County Administrative Code, Article 13, Procurement Disposition of County Property, Section 13.15, Contracts and Agreements, requires approval of county council for any contract where costs are to be funded with monies outside the county's general fund, such as those funded through bonded indebtedness. And whereas on March 11, 2021, the American Rescue Plan of Act 2021 was signed into law and is intended to combat the COVID pandemic, including the public health and economic impacts. Whereas Northampton County was awarded an allocation of approximately $30 million of American Rescue Recovery Plan funding to spend on various relief efforts. Whereas on October 12, 2022, the county executive presented county council with a request to fund a change order to a contract with Motorola Solutions, Inc., totaling $4,695,000. Original contract value, $4,463,836. a new contract value of $9,158,836 to expand the existing Northampton County, PA radio network to add 4 site-simulated cell and additional system enhancements. The proposed contract is attached hereto and is made part of hereof as Exhibit A. Now therefore be it resolved by Council of the County of Northampton, 1, that the recommended grant in Exhibit A are approved. 2, that the county executive of the County of Northampton is authorized to execute any and all necessary grant agreements with the applicants not to exceed the approved amount for each grant.
Thank you. Any discussion on this matter? You okay? Sorry. We're good? Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky? Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Would you also introduce the slate belt plumbing, heating, and electric, Mr. Brown?
Whereas Northampton County Administrative Code, Article 13, Procurement Disposition of County Property, Section 13.15, Contracts and Agreements, requires approval of county council for any contract exceeding $100,000, which was awarded using the competitive negotiation after competitive sealed bidding, and non-competitive negotiation source selection methods. For contracts with renewal clauses, the entire potential payout, if all renewal clauses are exercised under the terms of the contract, must be considered when determining if council approval is necessary. And whereas on September 30th, 2022, the Northampton County Council received a request from the county executive for county council to adopt a resolution approving a contract in the estimated amount of $80,000 per year over a 3-year term totaling $240,000 with slate belt plumbing, heating, and electric for highway interchange lighting, maintenance, and repairs. Now therefore be it resolved that the Northampton County Council does hereby concur with the recommendation of the county executive as set forth in the attached documentation to approve a contract for the project named above.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this matter?
Madam President, this was
Yes.
discussed yesterday in the and it takes care of all of our lighting on 33.
Yes, sir.
Did we receive multiple bidders on this one? I don't remember that part of the conversation.
Mr.
No,
Just this one?
just this one.
Call for the vote? Or you,
I'm gonna just make the same, I'm gonna just keep voting the same way, yeah. No more discussion from me, it's the same point I made on the last one.
Only point I'm going to make for that, Madam President, this is a hazard if we don't make sure we get these lights up and running, especially on the ramps, 22 and 33. So this is a necessity.
Well, then I guess I have another question. So are we replacing or repairing? And if it's repairing, is it not to exceed $80,000 per repairs? Or is it already assumed that there will be $240,000 in 3 years worth of repairs?
We're responsible for making sure they're lit up.
Sure, but if they're all lit up for 3 years and we don't have to make any repairs, we still pay somebody $240,000 to do anything?
Mr. Barron's here, he can answer the question.
If you would.
Or Mr. Dirk?
Or Mr. Derringer, whoever chooses.
It's as needed, so no.
It's as needed, so there's
As
no-
needed, so they're there to replace things, do work on them as needed. So it's a service
$80,000
contract,
years to not exceed, and if they don't
Yes.
use it, we don't pay it.
correct.
Thank
That's the way it's always been done.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Call for the vote?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Mr. Giovanni, will you introduce Vision Technologies, please?
Yes. Whereas Northampton County Administration Code Article 13, Procurement and Disposition of County Property, Section 1315, Contracts and Agreements. 1, requires approval of county council for any contract exceeding $100,000 which are awarded using the competitive negotiations after competitive sealed bidding and the non-competitive negotiation source selected methods for contracting with with renewal clauses. The entire potential buyout, if all renewal clauses are exercised under the terms of this contract, must be considered when determining if council approves it's necessary. Whereas on September 30th, 2022, the Northampton County Council received a request from the county executive for county council to adopt a resolution approving a contract in the amount of $553,453.12 with Vision Technologies for hardware for disaster recovery refresh. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Northampton County Council does hereby concur with the recommendations of the county executive as set forth in the attached documentation to approve a contract for the project named above. And this was discussed yesterday at Finance.
Thank you.
There we go.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Is there any other new business to discuss this evening?
What?
Are there any county council committee reports?
Yeah. We had an Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee report today, meeting today. And hopefully, there were copies of this report given to everybody, not just to our committee members. It's called Wasting Our Waterways. It is a report by Penn Environment that was supposed to give a presentation today. Unfortunately, the individual who was supposed to give that presentation, Flora Cardoni, was sick, and that presentation will now be in November. We did vote on several things. I just want to touch on a couple things that Brian Cope told us. He said we're having a very successful grant year. We've gotten almost $1.254 million in DCNR grants. That's amazing. And we finalized the last connection on the DNL trail. And we've planted 10,000 or almost 10,000 native trees, shrubs, and plugs this year. And yeah. And we just did all these grants today, so we're just chugging along here in the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee. So thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Myers?
Capital projects yesterday, we had a meeting and we discussed several things. The prison was one, installation of chillers in various buildings in the council. And then we had an update, thank you, Mr. Amelia, on how the tip works. So every member of council will get a copy of the slides that we went through with that yesterday, so we get a better understanding. And at one point, we're going to ask that the representative from Lehigh Valley Planning come and explain some of the why we're spending money on certain things. And that pretty much wrapped up what we did there yesterday.
Thank you. We also had Personnel and Finance. The fruits of our labors were discussed today. Any other committee reports? Any liaison reports?
So I attended the executive committee for the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, and I just wanted to put forward two things just quickly that we discussed. October is the National Community Planning Month. Really important to acknowledge our planners. They do a lot of work for us. And I'm really happy to announce that there's letter intent from PEMA, Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, also known as BRIC, for the Act 167 Stormwater Mitigation Plan and Global Best Management Practices This is a big thing that hopefully we're going to be able to do. It's going to allow the 62 municipalities in Lehigh and Northampton County to adapt a stormwater mitigation plan after it's created, and we're getting some money apparently through DEP, and that's exciting that we're finally going to address the Act 167.
Thank you. Any other liaison report? Council clerk report?
Nothing.
Solicitor report?
Nothing.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Oh, my
All in favor?
All right,
Go Yankees.
35 minutes. Bills.
I might have. I think I did. I think 717 was the original record I had. Oh, is your friend still here? Is she? What?